Hi, I'm Anthony Szilard, and I'm president of the Center for Social Leadership. As some of you may know, in a former life, I used to be a Peace Corps volunteer in Kenya. And during this pandemic, one thing that has been on my mind a lot is the situation of many folks in Kenya who, as I'm sure you can imagine, don't have the same resources as many people here in the US and many Western countries. And I think COVID has hit them particularly hard. So I got in touch with a number of friends and colleagues that I used to work with over there. I mean, this is back in 1990 to 92. I was a Peace Corps volunteer, and then actually I started an NGO there right after I finished my first master's at Harvard. That was in 95, and ran that organization for about 9 years, and then was on the board for another 4 or 5 years. And in all the time over there in Kenya, I got to know a lot of folks. And there's one young man. He was a young man. I guess he's still a young man. But he was, when I met him, he was 16, and we had an entrepreneurship and work readiness skills training program in Kenya. His name's Kenneth Mcharo, and he ended up participating in our program, and I mentored him for a number of years. Became very close with his family, and he and I have stayed in touch. And so we started emailing each other back and forth, and then talking on WhatsApp about the pandemic and what's going on in Kenya. And sure enough, the situation is pretty bleak over there. It's very severe, especially for people that are in rural areas, single mothers, disabled people, elderly, who very, very few resources even to eat. And so about a month ago, we started a food aid program. Just essentially, my wife and I donated $1,000, and that was for 150 families to get about $7 worth of food each, which was basically a bag of maize flour, which is used for the staple ugali in Kenya, a couple pound bag of beans, and cooking oil, just very, very basics. And so Kenneth and I have been in touch and looking at like feedback from people and how they feel about the donations and so forth. And what we've decided to do for the next round is to also include a few other things, including seeds, so that people can actually grow vegetables to supplement their diets. And it's so lush in these areas of Kenya that in a few months they can grow vegetables with the right seeds. So I'm going to show you a few of the pictures of what's happening with this program in Kenya.
Hello, so this is Anthony Szilard again, and I'm going to show you some pictures of the food aid program that we've been working on. Let me just show you the screen here. So this is taking place in two regions of Kenya, in Malindi, which is on the coast, and Taita, which is about 3.5 hours inland. These are rural areas, and people who right now do not have enough food, or just eating one meal a day, if that, during COVID. So far, the distribution, as you can see, we've been giving 3 bags of maize flour, which is the staple in Kenya used to make ugali. And then that red bag there is of beans, or maharagwe in Swahili, and then some cooking oil. So it's been very, very basic, and we want to improve that. We want to enhance the package to include a little bit of meat, and then some seeds, so they can grow their own vegetables, and just a little bit of money for vegetables so they can buy them. It's going to take 3 months to be able to grow their own vegetables. So let's look at some other pictures. Here again, people receiving this. We have 150 families. My wife Carla and I donated $1,000, and this has gone for about $7 per family for 150 families, more or less, in these two regions of Kenya. And so this is the basic what people have received. Yeah, so I mean, Carl and I have been very frustrated with what's going on with COVID, of course, like everyone, but especially like how to help people who really need support, especially with food right now. And we really love the idea of donating seeds because these are both very lush areas in Kenya, where especially Taita, where people can really plant a lot, and in a few months have their own vegetables, which will really supplement their diets. So here you can see some other pictures. Yeah, this one really is the one that broke my heart. I broke down into tears the first time I saw this, just because I think about our own children and that they have enough food, and seeing these kids here with, I mean, this is very basic. You see how they're smiling, and this is for maize flour and beans, and we really want to get them much more. at least to keep them going during this COVID period. Yeah, this is an elderly woman who's received her package. This is a woman with a disability. Look into the eyes of this child. He must be about 7 or 8 years old, and he's taking care of his mother who's disabled. And it's just a really tough period. Everyone's in quarantine, and they need food. Yeah. This is a man who you see the housing structure is made of dirt. This house that he lives in, and it's just very basic food to keep people alive. Show you some more pictures here. Now this is the accounting book, the accounts book. So every person has signed to receive, in addition to the photos, to receive the food, and they put their telephone number. They have these very small, very retro cell phones that are very inexpensive, and where they can be, where they can be reached. They've signed for them. They have the dates of the contribution. So in Kenya, the month goes after the date, after the day of the month. So this here, for example, is 21st of June of 2020. That's the accounts book. I like that. Put it down on paper. Yeah, exactly. Kind of accountability, which is important, especially in Kenya. And then here are the receipts for actually the purchases of the what we bought. So you see here it says beans. Unga means the maize flour, and cooking oil. And so this is the 700 shillings total, which is just under $7 per person. And here, this is Kenneth Mcharo. Kenneth is a good friend of mine. As I mentioned, he was in the entrepreneurship and employment training program that I started with a first organization I used to run, the first nonprofit, Global Education Partnership. He was one of the first youth to go through the program at 16. I mentored him for many years, and now he's 43, and he has been doing this just volunteer, and been distributing this food to people in these two communities. And he's someone I really trust. That's what's really important here. This is really a people-to-people initiative. And if you make a contribution, 100% of your contribution will go right to food to these families that Kenneth will take around. There's Kenneth again distributing food. And yeah, one of the people has received the food, elderly woman. This is Swahili here, the statement here on her dress, which is very common. Yeah, and so one thing we're also going to distribute, in addition to the food and the seeds, is soap and sanitizer, hand sanitizers. A lot of people don't have the resources to buy those, just to help keep people safe. Yeah, so you see again this woman with her children, and this is the housing structure made of rocks and dirt, and a little bit of wood and a tin roof. So just so you know, when it rains, if you have a tin roof without a subceiling, it's like no idea how loud that is. And so, yeah, this is very, very basic, and we want to make sure that we get people enough food to survive this COVID period. Yeah. So, and then each one of the people that I'm showing you, there's many stories that Kenneth has been hearing and passing on to me of being kicked out of their homes by their landlord, losing their jobs. One guy worked in a hotel, lost his job. His rent is he owes months of rent now. So people are just trying to survive this right now. This is a disabled woman who received the food. Yeah. So thank you for listening, and hope you're doing well. And please consider supporting this project. I guarantee you 100% of whatever you contribute will go right to food that we will wire to Kenneth. The resources we wire to Kenneth so that he can purchase this food and expand what we're delivering to each of these families. Right now, there's 150 families. We want to increase to about 250 families, and actually increase from just maize flour and beans and cooking oil to some of the other, meat and vegetables, hand sanitizer, and so forth.
Okay, so that's what we have going on in Kenya. This is really a people-to-people initiative, and we want to ask if you'd be willing to help. Kenyan families could really use your support. As you can see, even with like $7 or $10, you can make a big difference. That's enough to keep a family going for a month with seeds and other food, as you've seen in the videos. So if you'd like to give, please do, and join with us. And your funds, I guarantee you 100% will go right to the Kenyan families who will get the food support that they need during this pandemic.